I'll move us on to the next topic unless anybody has any closing thoughts they'd like to add. No? Okay. The third topic on the agenda is taking a blended or balanced approach to process excellence. Angel, perhaps you'd like to begin us with that topic?
You're going to have to give me a break on that one. Craig, can we have somebody else?
Yep, of course. Brad, I don't think you've started us on a topic yet. Would you like to take this one?
Sure. I wrote a post some time ago. I called it "Uniting the Religions of Process Improvement," and the way I looked at it, my heritage is in business reengineering, which is radical change to end-to-end processes, top-down. You know, the half a dozen major processes that an organization would have, like order to cash or product development. And there's one school and disciplines around doing that, and that's often useful in organizations. Six Sigma I see as largely a methodology for reducing variability. It came out of a set of disciplines with Six Sigma black belts and master black belts, primarily focused on efficiency, at least as it came out of GE. And that's very useful when that's the challenge you face. And Lean, where I spent a fair amount of time, is very much focused on people and on continuous improvement, growing people and continuous improvement, eliminating waste, defining value for the customer, value stream mapping, and a set of tools and techniques in that area. All of these tools are useful in their place, and a lot of organizations have come together and they now call it Lean Six Sigma. So they've taken their toolbox and they've included tools from all of these different disciplines. And I think that's really the way that you would ideally want it. You want to reduce the religious wars between people who are coming out of one or the other of these religions, and you want to unify them and have a unified toolkit and apply the tool in the situation that makes sense given the conditions and situations that you find.
I totally agree with Brad on that. You know, companies just don't have the patience for a really long, drawn-out, structured approach that sometimes Six Sigma might take you to, which doesn't mean I don't support it. I love that structured approach. But for whatever the task at hand is, you need to pick the right tool for that. So in addition to offering a program of developing green belts, developing black belts, developing master black belts, having what are some of those key tools and teaching them broadly to the organization, whether it's value stream mapping, whether it's some structured problem-solving approach, you know, really how you brainstorm root causes, select them, brainstorm solutions, you know, pilot them on a smaller scale, and offering that to the organization. I think that you just get so much more value out of it. You have everyone approaching process improvement in a similar manner with tools that everyone can use.
I agree with Brad and Danica on tool usage. I'll also speak to some of the deployments I've led in various organizations across different industries. Our approach to the deployment has been a blended approach, and what I mean by that is we focused on three primary things. The first is we want to increase process orientation within the organization. So that's things like making sure that we can offer different levels of Lean Sigma training, making sure that we can talk to new employees as they join the organization about process improvement and how we can get things done in a new way at the organization. So it's all about increasing that process orientation with the employees. The second piece is about the culture change, right? So it's about making sure that we have basic business process management, make sure that people can think of their process, can think of their business unit in that basic structure in terms of what are my inputs and outputs, how do I manage this process, really thinking of it like a business unit, what are the KPIs that I can use to really understand what's going on. So we hit people when they're coming in with here's the culture that we want to drive. We support it with business process management and Lean Sigma training, and also we also have our seasoned, experienced Lean Sigma black belts, master black belts that can lead those large global cross-functional projects that can really drive an impact. So when I look at process excellence and a blended approach, it's not just the deployment of the training that we're going to offer, or it's not just leading large projects. It's really trying to hit the organization up and down in terms of how we get everyone interested and how we get everyone involved in various levels in terms of process improvement and innovation.
I agree completely with Kevin. Here we have a very interesting way of thinking, that we're focusing a lot more on the process. We're trying, if you go here, you walk everywhere, we said that if you cannot measure your process, you cannot manage it. So in a very untraditional environment like it's media broadcasting, data and process is a very, very dark word. You know, we didn't know about that. We did not talk about that. So we have a set of individuals over here that actually, we work kind of like a consulting firm, and we work with our business partners in teaching them that. How do we actually see the whole thing, the whole picture as a process? What are those KPIs that actually make the process work the best? And what is what our customer wants? You know, at the beginning, we always thought about the customer to be the audience. And it's not. We actually have the internal customer that we have to make sure that we satisfy in order to make things right. So it's not about just working about the cost out. It's about the money you're going to save. It's about how do you actually focus on them on the process to make it better, to make it more cost efficient, and then that cost and money will come after that. And we have been working very, very hard with different business partners in order to understand that, and it's been a very hard, difficult shift in the culture that they have, and it's working. You know, now they understand that if you don't have data to actually measure your process, you're not going to be able to manage it.
There have been several mentions of culture, which is quite coincidental, as I'm working on something akin to culture shift and how that affects a balanced process excellence approach at the moment. But I'd like to pose that question to you, framing it under change management. Change resistance, of course, is a common issue facing process excellence teams. Would you say that change resistance is a sign that perhaps a process excellence approach might not be balanced in the first place?
I think that that part is because the people that is involved on the business and the process, they do not understand the value of the process excellence or your process program. When you get to have on that resistance, it's because they do not have the knowledge on what they can actually get out of it. Once you have actually worked with them, you show them what the possibilities are, and you show them results, the value is in, and that change management get easier, and you get the buy-in from the stakeholders. But if they don't see the value, they don't see what they can get out of it, then that resistance gets harder and harder and harder to the point that then you get to become a failure. So it's very important that you make sure that from the beginning, and that sign can get away and you get successful.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on that at all as well?
I think that for some companies, some environments, you know, it may not even be yet they don't understand the value in it. There might be some history, some culture already there, where there's history that has caused employees to be resistant to any kind of change. And so I think that a company recognizing that and getting past that before introducing the value of process improvement, you know, might be necessary and critical.
Brad, I think you had something to add as well.
Yeah, it's a very big topic, but just one quick observation is that if you have people identify changes that they want, there's no change management issue. So in Danica's example, where you have a daily huddle and a work cell or a team comes up with an idea of something they jointly agree they want to do, there's no change management issue. Change management comes in when you try to impose things from outside. People naturally resist when they get things imposed on them. So in the example I gave of implementing an enterprise system, that is a classic example where you have change management because you're imposing a new way of working on people. So the opportunity, if you want to get buy-in, is to engage people as much as possible in the definition of what the work changes will be. And I think as Danica was also pointing out, there may be legitimate concerns and issues that resistance may be quite justified. And so if you can, ideally you want to spend that extra time up front engaging the people that are going to be impacted by the change in the definition of the change, then you won't have any change management issues and it'll be sustained.
Okay. Bringing us back to the original premise, I think that was me that took us off course a bit there. Blended approach. Would you say that today in the current climate for process excellence, that a blended approach is always the approach that should be taken, or do you feel that there are instances where perhaps a single discipline might serve a company better?
From my experience, what I would say is I try not to focus on the approach in terms of the methodology. When I talk to my internal stakeholders, we speak about business improvement, we speak about fixing problems, we speak about getting more customers. The toolkit that we may use or employ, if the customer wants to hear about it, we're more than happy to talk about it. But typically what we try to do is say, look, we want to be a business advisor, we want to partner with you to make improvements. How we get there is part of our toolkit, and that may be Lean, that may be Six Sigma, it may be change management, it may be a mix of all three. I think the key, going back to what the other panelists have said, is it really is the flexibility of having that rich toolkit that you can choose from, as opposed to just going in with one methodology. I mean, I've seen example of people get trained in Six Sigma, for example, and they'll go in there and try to make everything a black belt or a DMAIC type project. And quite frankly, it just doesn't work that way. You have to solve problems, and you have to use whatever toolkit's available to solve that problem, whether it's one methodology or it's a mixture of various methodologies.